footstep bearing. You can see in the question it is given, figure shows the details of the footstep bearing. Draw the following views of the assembly, that is the sectional front view and top view. Use suitable scale, give overall dimensions, show assembly fits. Now you can see the different parts. The first part of the assembly is the body, the second part is the bush, the third part is the shaft, and the fourth part is the disc. So here the four parts have been given which has to be assembled together, and the last part is the pin. Now the dimensions of all the parts are given. Now here all the parts are shown in a half section, but while drawing we will draw the full section. Now for drawing, first we'll begin with the part number 1, that is the body. Now before drawing with the body, we will first identify the dimensions of the body, that is the length of the body, height and the width. Now in the question you can see the length of the body is equal to 200 mm. It is given here, the length of the body is 200 mm. The width of the body from the top view can be observed as equal to 130 mm, whereas the height of the body in the front view is equal to 15 plus 40 plus 15 plus 18. So the total height of the body will be equal to 88 mm. So the length of the body is equal to 200 mm, the width of the body is equal to 130 mm, whereas the height of the body is equal to 88 mm. Also, now we will identify the different diameters. The diameter of the upper parts of the body. This upper part of the body is cylindrical in shape. So the various diameters are given as 594, 571 and 568. Now let us begin with the drawing. First, in the first step, we will draw a line of length 200 mm. This line of length 200 mm. So let us draw. So first we will draw a line of length 200 mm. So now I am drawing a line of length 200 mm. Now we will give the dimension which is equal to 200 mm as given in the question. After drawing the line of 200 mm, now we will mark the center line of the body. So this is the line of 200 mm. So center will lie at a distance of 100 mm from any one of the end. So now we are marking the center. So this is the center line of the body. So we have to divide this line into two equal halves. So this will be the center line. Center line is shown with the help of long dash, short dash line. Now in the next step, we will draw this vertical line. You can see this vertical line of length 18 mm. So from the two ends, both on left hand side and right hand side, you have to draw a vertical line of length 18 mm. So now we will draw vertical lines of length 18 mm both on left hand side as well as right hand side. So 18, 18. Now I will give you a dimension. This dimension will be equal to 18 mm. We will zoom a little bit. Okay, the dimension should be 18. You can see the dimension is equal to 18 mm. So 18 mm line has to be drawn both on left hand side and right hand side. Now in the next step, we have to draw this horizontal line, this line as well as this line, both on the left hand side and right hand side. For drawing this line, that is this horizontal line, first we will identify the dimension. Now you can see the total distance from here to here is 200, that is total length from this point to this point will be equal to 200, whereas the distance between from that is from here to here is equal to 94. So if we find the difference of both these dimension, we will get 200 minus 94, that will be equal to 106. So the difference of this length 200 and this diameter 94 is equal to 106 mm. So this length from here to here will be equal to half of 106, that is 53. So this length is equal to 53. Similarly, the length from here to here will be equal to 53. So now we will draw line of length 53 mm, that is horizontal lines of length 53 mm. So this is the point. We'll zoom a little bit. Now we will draw line of length 53 mm. Similarly, from this point also we will draw lines of length 53 mm. So you can see now we have drawn lines of length 53 mm both on left hand side as well as right hand side. Now we will give the dimension. You can see, so this dimension will be equal to 53. So this line from here to here will be of length 53, and this line from here to here will also be of length 53 mm. We can give the dimension here also so that you can check it. So you can see the dimension is 53 mm. Now I am removing one of the dimension. Now in the next step you have to draw this vertical line from here to here. Now this vertical line is of dimension equal to 15 plus 40 plus 15, that is 70 mm. So now we will draw a vertical line of length 70 mm. So in the next step you have to draw a vertical line from this point of length 70 mm. Similarly, on the right hand side also we will draw a line of length 70 mm. So these two lines are nothing but of length 70 mm. Now we can see due to dimension, you can see here. So we have drawn lines of length 70 mm both on left hand side and right hand side. Now in the next step we have to draw this line, this horizontal line. You can see this small horizontal line. Now in order to draw this line we have to first identify the dimension of the line. Now how can we find the dimension? Now you can see this the diameter of this hole at the bottom is equal to 68. Similarly, the diameter of this portion from here to here will be equal to 68. This top diameter and this bottom diameter are same. So this diameter is equal to 68. So the top diameter is also equal to 68. Whereas the diameter in between from here to here will be of diameter 71. So the distance from here to here is of diameter 68. See, it is given as 68. So the total distance from here to here will be equal to half of 94. The distance from this center line to the end is equal to 94, whereas the distance from this center line to this point is equal to 68 or half of 68. So we will find the difference of 94 and 68 and then we will divide by 2. So the difference of 94 and 68 will be equal to 70 70, 89, 26. So we will get 26 mm. So we can say that the difference of the outer distance from here to here will be equal to 94 minus 68. So this distance will be equal to half of 26, that is 13. So this line will be of distance 13 mm. Now we will draw horizontal lines of length 13 mm from this point. So first I am deleting this dimension. We can give the dimensions later on after completing the entire front view. So this line is of 13 mm length. Similarly, we will draw a line from this point of length 13 mm. Now I will give the dimension so that you can understand. See, you can see the dimension is 13 mm both on left hand side and right hand side. So now we have given the dimensions of 13 mm both on left side and right side. Now in the next step, what we have to do, we have to draw this vertical line from here to here. Now this vertical line is of length 15 mm. So now we will draw a vertical line of length 15 mm both on left hand side and right hand side. So now you notice here we are drawing the full section. So we will draw the same pattern on left hand side as well as right hand side, since the part is symmetrical about the vertical center line as well as horizontal center line. Now this line will be of length 15 mm. Similarly, from this point we will draw a line of 15 mm in vertically downward direction. So you can see these two vertical lines are of length 15 mm. Now we will give the dimension. So you can see 15 mm as well as this line is of length 15 mm. So now we have drawn vertical lines of length 15 mm. We have to draw vertical lines of length 15 mm. Now we will delete this dimension. Now in the next step, what we have to do, we have to draw this smaller line going inwards. You can see this smaller line, this. Now this smaller line will be of length equal to 3 divided by 2. Now you can see the distance from this point to this point is equal to half of 72. From here to here is equal to half of 670 71, and the distance from this center line to this center line will be equal to half of 68. So this line will be of length equal to total distance of the inner hole, that is 71 minus 68, that will be equal to 3. And this is a half line, since same line will be on right hand side also. So first we will find the dimension as 71 minus 68 equal to 3, and then we will divide by 2. So we will get 1.5 mm. So this smaller line here is of length 1.5 mm. Similarly, line below here, smaller line will be of length 1.5 mm. So now we will draw lines of length 1.5 mm from this point in inside direction 1.5 mm. Similarly, we will draw line from this point in inside direction of line 1.5 mm. You can see we have drawn here smaller lines of length 1.5 mm. Now we will give the dimension, so you can see it. See, these lines are of length 1.5 mm. Clear, students? These smaller lines drawn in inward directions are of length 1.5 mm. Now I am deleting this dimension. Now from here you have to draw a vertical line. Now you can see in this question, from this point they have drawn a vertical line. This is the vertical line that has to be drawn, and this line, vertical line, is of length 40 mm. So now we will draw a vertical line of length 40 mm. From this point we will select distance of 40 mm downward direction. Similarly, again from this point we will draw a line of length 40 mm in downward direction. Now I will give the dimension, so you can see here the distance from here to here is of 40. Similarly, the distance from this point to this point is equal to 40. So we have drawn a line of length 40 mm in vertically downward direction. Now I am deleting this dimension. Now in the next step, again we have to draw smaller lines of length 1.5 mm from this point in outward direction 1.5 mm. So this small line which we have drawn is nothing but of length 1.5 mm. Again we will draw here a line of length 1.5 mm. So these two lines are again of length 1.5 mm. I will give a dimension so that you can see here. See, you can see the dimension is 1.5 mm. Similarly, the length of this line from here to here is of length 1.5 mm. So both the dimensions are nothing but equal to 1.5 mm. Now I am deleting the dimensions. Now again we will, from this point we will draw a vertical line in downward direction. See, you can see here. Now from this point onwards we have to draw a vertical line in downward direction. This is the vertical line that has to be drawn and is of length 15 mm. So now we will draw a vertical line in downward direction of length 15 mm from this point. So 15. Again from this point we will draw line in downward direction of length 15 mm. So I will give a dimension. You can see here this is of 15 mm, and this line is again of length 15 mm. So now we have drawn a vertical line of in downward direction of length 15 mm. Now I am deleting this dimension. We will give it later on. After completing this diagram, finally we have to draw a straight horizontal line passing through these two endpoints. We will draw horizontal line from this point to this point, straight horizontal line. Okay. Now this line has to be extended. So finally we have joined both the points by drawing a horizontal line at the base. So this was the front view. Now still the front view is not completed. We have to complete the remaining parts also. Now in the next step we have to draw curves or the counters. You can see here the corners are eliminated at this point, at this point, at this point, as well as at this point. this point and this point. That is, wherever there are sharp corners, they have been eliminated by a fillet, and the radius of the fillet is given as 6 mm. So now we will draw fillets of radius 6 mm at the corners. Now we can see the corners. First corner is here, this point, second corner is here, and the third corner is here. Similarly, on the left hand side, the first corner is here, second corner is here, and the third corner is here. So now we will draw fillets of radius 6 mm at all the corners. For drawing the fillets, first we have to draw a square of side 6 mm at the corners. Now we will see how we can draw. Now you can see I have drawn a square, and this square is of side 6 mm. I will give the dimension so that you can understand. See this, you can see the square is of dimension 6 mm. So we have drawn a square of dimension 6 mm. Similarly, we will draw square here also. We will draw the squares at all the required corners, and the side of the square will be of length 6 mm. So now we are drawing squares of side 6 mm. So this is a square, this is square of side 6 mm. Same square like this one. Again we will draw a square here of side 6 mm. So from this point we will draw a square of side 6 mm. Again here we will draw a square of side 6 mm. So finally we have drawn 4 squares, 1, 2, 3 and 4 squares of side 6 mm. You can see the dimension of this square also. Six, and the horizontal distance from this point to this point, I will zoom it little bit so that we can give the dimension accurately. So you can see the dimension is 6 mm. So we have given dimension of 6 mm. So all these squares drawn at the corners will be equal to 6 mm. Now while we are drawing the square, we have to draw fillet of radius 6 mm. Now we will mark the or draw the fillets. Now I am relating these dimensions. Now in order to draw the radius of 6 mm or the fillet of radius 6 mm, you have to place your rounder at this point, that is this corner. This is the corner. Place your rounder at this point. Take the distance on rounder from here to here, that is equal to 6 mm, and draw an arc from this point to this point. Again I am repeating, place your rounder at this point, take distance equal to 6, that is this vertical distance, and then draw an arc from this point to this point, that is a quarter circle which will be of radius 6 mm. Now I will show you. I am taking this as a center. Now we are drawing a circle of radius 6 mm. Now I will remove the extra parts which are not required. So finally we have drawn the curve of radius 6 mm. So this is the curve. You can see this is the curve of radius 6 mm. Now I'm deleting the extra parts. So finally we have drawn the curve of radius 6 mm. So this is the curve of radius 6 mm. Now I will give you a dimension so that you can understand. So this is the radius. You can see the radius is equal to 6 mm. Similarly we will draw the curve on the left hand side also here. So we will take the center and then draw a quarter circle of radius 6 mm. Now I will delete the extra parts which are not required. So again we have drawn the curve or the fillet of radius 6 mm. We are again giving a dimension. You can see the radius is what, 6 mm. Similarly we will draw the radius of the top and top corners also. You have to take this point as the center, place your rounder at this point, take the distance equal to 6 on the rounder, that is the radius, and then draw a curve from this point to this point, that is a quarter circle. Again I will place my rounder at this point, take a radius of 6. Now I will remove the extra parts which are not required. So we have drawn. Similarly, on the left hand side also, again we will draw. We'll take this as a center, draw a circle of radius 6 mm, or you have to draw only quarter circle. You don't need to draw the entire circle. You can draw just quarter circle from this point to this point. Now I'm erasing the extra part which is not required. So finally you can see we have drawn the curves of the fillet at four corners of the body. Now we will use the radius. You can see here radius 6 mm. Again I am giving the radius as 6 mm. Now in the next step we will draw the curve at this corner, that is this corner on the right hand side and this corner on the left hand side. Again, first for drawing the corner you have to draw a square of side 6 mm. Now in this case we have to draw the square on outer side. You can see how I am drawing. So you can see we have to draw a square on the outer side, and this square will be again of side 6 mm. We will show the dimension so that you can understand. So this is a dimension of 6 mm. Again this is a dimension of 6 mm. So we have drawn square of side 6 mm on the outer side. Now I am deleting the dimension. Similarly, now you have to draw the square again on outer side on the left hand side. So now 6. Again we are drawing the squares of side 6 mm. So this square is also of side 6 mm. So all the squares that you are drawing will be of side 6 mm. Now in the next step we will draw the arc at this corner and this corner. So for drawing the arc, place your rounder at this point, take the distance on the rounder equal to 6 mm, that is this vertical line distance, and draw an arc from this point to this point. So I will place my rounder at this center and I will draw a circle of radius 6 mm. You can see I have drawn a circle of radius 6 mm. Now we will delete the extra part that is not required. So you can see finally we have drawn the arc of radius 6 mm. Now I will give the dimension so that you can see here the dimension of this part is equal to 6 mm. You can see the radius is what 6 mm. Similarly on the left hand side also we will draw again. So this is my center, place your rounder at this center and draw a quarter circle of radius 6 mm. Now we will delete the extra part which is not required. So I am deleting this part. So now I'm giving the radius. So you can see finally we have drawn all the curves which are of radius 6 mm. Now I'm deleting the dimensions one by one. You can give the dimension later on and no need to write it radius 6 mm everywhere. You can just show it on any one of the fillet. Now I'm erasing this vertical or horizontal lines. If you don't want to erase, you can keep it. You can keep it as faint lines. Don't erase it. You should keep these lines, that is these square lines, as faint lines. I'm erasing all these lines, but you don't need to. You can keep it as it is. So finally we have drawn the body with the fillet also, fillet inside it. Now in the next step, what has to be drawn? You can see on the top portion here, this part, there is a snug recess, or we can say a rectangular slot for fitting the snug or for fitting the key. The bush has to be locked with the body, and for locking there is an extra projection or an integral projection of the bush, that is called a snug, and that snug will fit inside this snug recess, that is the hole provided for fitting. And this hole is of rectangular slot. We can't see it as hole. This is a rectangular slot, it is not a hole. There this hole has dimension of length 3 mm. You can see the dimension is given as the length is 3 mm, the height is 8 mm, as visible in the front view. The length is 3 mm, the height is 8 mm, whereas the width can be observed from the top view. Here you can see the width is also given as 8 mm. See, this is the top view of the slab recess. Here it is given, this is the top view, and the top view has width of 8. So the snug recess has length 3 mm, height 8 mm and width 8 mm. So now we will draw this snug recess into the front view. For drawing the snug recess, we have to take length of 3 mm in horizontal direction and 8 mm in vertical direction. So from this point we will take dimension 3 mm and then 8 mm in vertical direction, 3 mm in horizontal direction. See, you can see here, this is the snug recess. I am giving the dimension here. So I am giving the dimension. This dimension here, the length will be of 3 mm and the height will be equal to 8 mm. So the snug recess has dimension length equal to 3 mm and height equal to 8 mm. So the length is 3 mm, the height is equal to 8 mm. Now this snug recess will not be present on the right hand side. It is present only on one side. So you don't need to draw this snug recess on the right hand side. Now I am deleting this dimension. So we have drawn this snug recess also. Now in the next step, we have to draw the hole for the pin. Now you can see this body, this part, that is the disc. Now disc will fit inside the body. Now in order to lock the disc and the body, or the lock the disc with the pin, we will use a locking pin. You can see here, you can see in this figure, this is my disc, this is the disc, and this is the body. Now both are locked by using a cylindrical pin. So in order to insert the cylindrical pin, there will be a hole in the body, that is bottom portion of the body, and there will be a similar hole at the bottom portion of the disc. So this is the hole. Now we will see the dimensions of the hole. What are the dimensions of the hole? Now you can see, first, in order to draw the hole, we have to mark the center line of the hole. Now the center line of the hole is at a distance of 15 mm. You can see in the top view here also it is given. This is the center line of the hole. The center line is at a distance of 15 mm. This is the center line of the hole. In the front view the hole has not been shown, but we have to show the hole also. So the center line of the hole, this is the center line, will be at a distance of 15 mm. Now what are the dimension of the hole? The hole has a diameter of 4 mm. You can see here it is given, the hole has a diameter of 4 mm. Pinhole diameter 4 and 6 mm deep. So the hole is 6 mm deep and diameter is 4 mm. So here we have to show a hole, cylindrical hole of diameter 4 mm and height 6 mm. Now we will show the hole. So in order to show the hole, first you have to mark the center of the hole. Now from this point we have to mark the center of the hole at a distance of 15 mm. So this is the center of the hole. This line represents what? Center of the hole, and it is at a distance of 15 mm from the center of the body. If I check this dimension, you can see we show the dimension here 15 mm. So the distance of the center of the hole will be at a distance of 15 mm from the center of the body. Now we will draw the hole. So I am zooming here. So in order to draw the hole diameter is equal to 4 mm. So from this center you have to take 2 mm on the left side, and from the same center you have to take 2 mm on the right hand side. So now we will take the distance, and the height of the hole is equal to 6 mm. So we will mark distance of 6 mm in vertically downward direction. So finally we have drawn the hole. You can see this was the center of the hole. From the center take 2 mm on the left hand side, and from the same center take 2 mm on the right hand side. Then mark the vertical height, which will be equal to 6 mm, and complete the hole. Now I will give the dimension. So you can see the height is equal to 6 mm, and the diameter of the hole, the height of the hole is equal to 6 mm, and the diameter of the hole is equal to 4 mm. So this hole is of height 6 mm and diameter 4 mm. In order to draw the hole, first mark the center of the hole at a distance of 15 mm. After marking the center, take 2 mm on the left hand side and 2 mm on the right hand side from the center, and then mark the height of the hole, which will be equal to 6 mm. So finally the hole is completed. So we have finally completed the entire front view of the sectional front view of the body. Now we will show the hatching lines. Now students, hatching line has to be shown in the only the solid part. Now this is a hole, this was a hole, so we can't show hatching line inside the hole. Similarly, this is a slot which is used to receive the snug of the bush, or we can say this is a snug recess, so it is similar to a hole. So this and these are not solid parts, whereas the remaining, that is this entire part of the body, is what? Solid. And since it is a solid, we have to show section lines inside it. Now while drawing section lines, you have to note that section lines are always to be drawn at 45 degree with the horizontal. If we consider this line as the horizontal base, then it should be inclined at 45 degree. Now the line can be inclined at 45 degree either in the direction towards right or left. You can draw the line at any direction, either you can draw in left right direction, or you can draw the line in left direction, but it should be inclined at 45 degree only. Now we will show the hatching lines. Now you can see here, so I am showing the hatching line. So finally we have shown the section lines also. Now I am giving you some dimension. You can see that we are drawn, this was equal to 15 mm, 15. Again this distance from here to here was 40 mm, and the last distance again from here to here was 15 mm. So we have got all the dimensions. This line 15 mm, then the second vertical line was of length 40 mm, and the third vertical line was of length 50 mm. Now the outer diameter also, you can see here to here, it should be equal to 94 mm. So we have got the outer diameter as 94 mm, as which was given in the question. The inside diameter should be equal to 70 mm from here to here. So we have got 70 mm, 71 mm also. And diameters at the top and the bottom from here to here are of 68 mm. So this diameter is 68, and this diameter is also equal to 68. So we have got all the dimensions properly. Now in the next step, we have to draw the bush inside the body. This is the body. Now we have to draw the bush.